Suspected serial killer Darren Van was back in a Crown Point courtroom this week, pleading not guilty to 2 counts of murder. The 43-year-old Gary man was arrested on October 17th after the body of 19-year-old Africa Hardy was found at the Motel 6 in Hammond. When taken into police custody, Van confessed to killing 6 other women and hiding their bodies in abandoned homes in Gary. Van is scheduled to be back in court on January 9th, 2015. Meanwhile, a Texas district attorney is defending her call to offer Darren Van a plea deal in a sexual assault case in her jurisdiction in September of 2009. Travis County DA Rosemary Lemberg says Van's criminal background check at the time gave no indication of any previous sexual assault or conviction, though he had previously served time in Indiana. Van was sentenced to 5 years in a Texas prison rather than the 99 years he could have received had the case gone to trial. Lemberg says that her heart goes out to the families of the victims in Indiana. Memorial services for 2 of those victims will be held this weekend. Services for Africa Hardy are on Saturday at 11 a.m. at the Zion Missionary Baptist Church on Drummond Street in East Chicago. A memorial service for Christine Williams will also be held at 11 a.m. on Saturday at the M.C. Smith Funeral Home in Knox, Indiana. As Election Day approaches, Indiana Attorney General Greg Zeller is putting Hoosier political candidates on notice. Do not use illegal robocalling to reach potential voters. Campaigns and political groups are only allowed to make the automated calls to Indiana households if the household has previously opted to receive them or if a live operator gets a resident's permission. Violations of Indiana's auto dialer law can result in fines of up to $5,000 per incident. Zeller says consumers can put themselves on a do not call list or report illegal robocalls by contacting the Attorney General's Consumer Protection Division at www.indianaconsumer.com. Some political heavyweights were at the Gary-Chicago airport this week to celebrate an important milestone in its expansion. Gary Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson, Senator Joe Donnelly, Representative Pete Visclosky, and Regional Development Authority President and CEO Bill Hanna, among others, were on hand to kick off the effort to relocate the existing airport rail tracks. Senator Donnelly says that the removal and rerouting of the tracks is a significant step towards the completion of Gary-Chicago International Airport's runway expansion. The senator says a longer runway will help Gary Airport accommodate larger cargo planes and passenger airlines, which could provide an economic boost to the airport and the surrounding communities. The economic realities facing the Indiana Toll Road Concession Company has it moving ahead with its bankruptcy restructuring. Parties representing the ITR concession were in U.S. bankruptcy court in Chicago this week seeking a decision on its restructuring plan. Judge Pamela Hollis gave the company the go-ahead for the prepackaged plan of reorganization, which provides for a comprehensive restructuring of the company's debt and maximizes the payment of claims against the toll road. The restructuring plan will also allow the ITR concession to pursue a sale of the toll road. A status hearing on the case has been scheduled for January 22nd, 2015. While one company tries to restructure its shrinking resources, another organization is celebrating the generosity of Northwest Indiana residents, thanks to the efforts of one high school class. State Representative Shelley Vandenberg hosted a breakfast for 29 Crown Point High School students this week. The class collected more than 150 items for the Food Bank of Northwest Indiana. Vandenberg and Food Bank officials say the students' efforts show how other residents can help their neighbors in need.
Thank you so much. I hope this will be a yearly event where I can challenge one high school against another high school within my district. I'd really like to see the entire school get involved. We have 2,700 kids here. That would make such a huge difference within our community.
We are so thankful to have the Crown Point High School. We're so thankful to have Representative Vandenberg supporting this initiative. It's just important that we want the entire community to come out and help us to feed our hungry Hoosiers. It's really important for us to be able to garner as much food and bring that and have it available for the more than 104,000 food insecure people in Northwest Indiana.
In all, the high school collected more than 500 items for the food bank. The only kind of food most young Hoosiers will be interested in this weekend is the kind of sweet stuff best obtained going door to door. Hillary Powell reports on how one local community is trying to protect trick-or-treaters this year.
Halloween trick-or-treating festivities are a time when area safety officials say they're on high alert against sexual predators. In recent weeks, the high-profile case of Darren Van, a Gary man suspected of murdering at least 7 women, has raised questions about how residents can best protect their families from convicted offenders. Captain Patrick Cicero is walking the LaPorte streets that trick-or-treaters will tread this weekend, and he doesn't want their good time to be threatened by predators.
We'll have extra patrols out that evening as well.
LaPorte County Sheriff's officials have been warning parents to be proactive against potential sexual predators by checking a national online database of registered sex offenders.
It could be anybody. Race, gender, age, it doesn't matter. The sexual offender registry encompasses all who have committed sexual crimes.
Cicero says parents can log on to www.laportecountysheriff.com to monitor the whereabouts of the 185 registered sex offenders in LaPorte County, 52 of which are offenders against children.
Do you know about the registry, how you can go online and check?
Yes, absolutely, and we definitely use that.
At Fisher Farms Pumpkin Patch in LaPorte, Mom Christy Newkirk says the online tool is a go-to for her each Halloween.
Did you get worried when they're going out trick-or-treating?
A little bit, especially a 14-year-old now that she likes to try to venture out on her own.
Cicero says each county sheriff's office in Indiana maintains a local database.
And there's an area where you can actually put in the address in which you are going to be trick-or-treating, and it'll give all the sexual offenders in this county on a map. It'll point it out.
Even though registered sex offenders are prohibited from passing out candy, Kids.gov suggests parents sit down with their children, map out a route so they don't have to even pass by that sex offender home.
Be good parents. Be with your children when they're trick-or-treating.
Some parents posted their concerns on the Sheriff Department's Facebook page, saying they wish officials could do more, like require posted signs outside an offender's home for Halloween.
Even a sexual offender has rights. My suggestion is to avoid them.
Cicero says parents should also be sure to keep their children visible and train them to be vigilant. The sheriff's office says statistics show over half of all sexual assaults occur within 1 mile of the victim's home.
We ask parents who have children that are 12 and older to make sure that the 12-year-olds and older are in a group together, are very visible. Know what your kids are wearing, where they intend to go.
If she does run away from me, I just make sure she's in large groups so that she's not by herself ever. And obviously, stranger danger, run, find for an adult.
Area officers will also step up their visibility around offender homes.
The offender themselves have to check in and confirm their employment, where they're living. There's always people checking. Our civil deputies actually will go out and check on the offenders. This is a week in which they better lay low. Any violation will be harshly taken care of.
LaPorte County safety officials say specific questions regarding the registry can be directed to Major John Boyd at 219-326-7700. The Halloween holiday can also be a reminder that too much of a sweet thing can be harmful to health. Type 1 diabetes is a lifelong condition, usually requiring patients to inject themselves with insulin every day for the rest of their life. Type 2 diabetes can also require close monitoring and medication if lifestyle changes aren't effective. Both types of diabetes are now affecting more and more American children. A new study examined the prevalence of diabetes over an 8-year period in America's youth. Catherine Dolph explains in this week's JAMA report.
2 American families dealing with different forms of diabetes, and they are not alone.
Both type 1 and type 2 diabetes are increasing in American children.
13-year-old Asiana Coleman was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes at age 11. Her mother, Ernestine, also has type 2 diabetes.
I really don't want to see my child go through this. Myself having diabetes, I know what it is. It's a struggle.
I see my mom, and she takes medicine, and I didn't want to do that.
Now 10, KB Brodus was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes at just a year old.
He is just like a normal kid. I mean, he plays football, he plays basketball. We just have to test, right? We just have to test.
I test 4 times a day or more.
Dr. Donna DeBelia from the Colorado School of Public Health and co-authors identified children from birth to 19 years old with both types of diabetes over an 8-year period. Patients came from 4 geographic areas across the country and also from the membership of a managed health care plan.
The prevalence of type 1 diabetes has increased by at least 21%. This increase was seen in both boys and girls and most age groups and racial ethnic groups that we we explored. We did not see an increase in type 2 diabetes in, say, American Indian children or children of Asian backgrounds, which are actually the groups with the highest burden of type 2 diabetes.
The study appears in JAMA, Journal of the American Medical Association. Researchers also report a 30% increase in type 2 diabetes.
Most of it is due to the obesity epidemic in children. We saw similar increases in white and black children. The largest increase we saw was in Hispanic children.
However, type 2 diabetes did not increase significantly in American Indian and Asian children.
The healthcare system, the clinicians, the public health practitioners need to be prepared to take care of these kids and to address the increased costs associated with these kids developing early complications.
Both families say they will continue to meet the disease head on.
We're willing to fight it, and we're going to fight it together.
We're going to do this together because you are going to be a winner.
Catherine Dolph, The JAMA Report.
Based on this study, researchers estimate that in the U.S. in 2009, more than 165,000 young people had type 1 diabetes and more than 20,000 had type 2 of the long-term condition. Well, another lifelong status is being honored this week for a few of Northwest Indiana's bravest. World War II veterans from the region were escorted Wednesday from Midway Airport to the nation's capital for a day of remembrance. Lakeshore photographer Amanda Foresta was there to capture the joy of honor flight upon its return home.
Hundreds of spectators and volunteers packed Midway Airport Wednesday night to welcome back members of the Greatest Generation. 91 World War II veterans, including 4 from Northwest Indiana, flew to Washington, D.C. on an honor flight to visit the World War II Memorial. Michigan City veteran Walter Kalasa went on an honor flight earlier this year and was there to help welcome our heroes home.
Oh, it's been wonderful. I can't explain it in words. The flight to Washington, D.C., and the group of people here. You heard this before, I'll never forget. That's it, I'll never forget.
Friends, family members, and other spectators cheered and thanked the veterans for their service with handshakes and hugs. While this was the final honor flight of 2014, volunteers with Honor Flight Chicago are looking forward to flying with more local heroes next year, saluting their service with a day they'll never forget. Amanda Foresta, Lakeshore Report.
Indiana voters only have a few days left to make up their minds. This week, Steve Walsh takes a look at the run-up to Election Day 2014.
The general election is Tuesday. There have been a mixed bag of offices on the ballot this year. At the top of the ticket, there are a handful of statewide offices, starting with the Secretary of State down to state house races and a handful of county-level jobs, including the county council, sheriff, and the assessor, all the way down to township trustee. To highlight some of the significant contests that we'll see on Tuesday, we have Hobart Mayor Brian Snedeker, who is a Democrat, and we have Andy Quinnell, who is the treasurer for the Lake County Republican Party. Welcome to both of you.
Glad to be here.
Glad to be here. All right, so we were bipartisan here, one from each. When you look at the ballot for Tuesday, what seem to be the races that are really drawing the most attention this year?
Well, certainly I think some of the county races, but I think some of the state races in Lake County have become really interesting to look at. And as we get close to the finishing line, I think we're going to see a strong turnout, certainly of the Democratic vote. Certainly over in Porter County, I think there's going to be some interesting races that are going to go down to the wire.
What are some of the other races we need to look at? There was 4 years ago, the assessor's race of all things was a huge deal when Hank Adams, the only Republican to hold county-wide office in a more than a generation, was elected. Now you've got his appointee, or the person that was appointed to replace him, Jolie Kovacz, is it? Kovacz. And she's running up against Jerome Prince, the Democrat. He's giving up his county council seat to go after that. Is this going to be close?
Based on qualifications and how hard Jolie's working, historically, of course, this would not be a close race. But I think it's going to be an interesting race to watch. I think it's going to be closer than people can imagine. I think Jolie has done an excellent job. She's very highly qualified. I hope people remember that, up until Hank Adams came into office, we never got our tax bills on time. So, you know, that'll be an interesting race to see at the end of the night, but, you know, the benefit does go to the Democrats on that one.
I think he's on point. I think Jerome Prince has served the county well. I've had an opportunity to work closely with him. He's a man of integrity, and I think that given the opportunity to serve, he'll do a good job. You know, and I think this is certainly the Democrats will come out strong, and I think the North County will pave the way for Jerome to be victorious.
So what are the other close races we're going to see? What are the ones that are going to go deep into the night?
Well, I think Shelley Vandenberg, that's been a race where the Republicans have pumped a lot of money in to try to give this a race to the finish. I think Shelley's another example. She's fought hard for education, fought hard for, you know, veterans. I think she'll end up pulling this out. But I know she's not taking this race lightly, and I think she knows it's going to be a competitive race, and I think she's working hard to.
That's another one of those purple districts.
Yeah.
This one in South Lake County,
and we have a great candidate there, Julie Altoff, who's doing an excellent job. She's been a small business owner, a lifelong Northwest Indiana resident. I think she's doing great, and if the polling numbers weren't there, well, there's two more that have commercials on TV that you can, you know, again, it amazes me. You have these state rep candidates, and you can be watching network TV, Chicago network TV. Now, I know they have a way
I think that's cable, but okay.
It is cable, but, you know, they have a way of pumping this in, and they can put in the, you know, these Northwest Indiana candidates for, you know, their commercials.
It's no question, come election night, Northwest Indiana will play a real key role. Maybe not in control of the Indiana House, but whether or not that supermajority stands in the Indiana House.
And there's 5 competitive races going on here for the House right now between, you know, your Ed Soliday, who's in, so I can't remember what district his is. Do you?
But over in Valparaiso, then we have Jim Weiser and Hal Slager and
That's
Sheriff.
another race. That's another race.
So there's a lot of them there. Well, we'll have to stay tuned election night. But in the meantime, thanks to both of you. This has been Andy Quinnell. He's the treasurer for the Lake County Republican Party, and Hobart Mayor Brian Snedeker. Thanks to both of you for being on.
Glad to be here.
It's the season for ghosts and goblins, but for some, the end of October marks the beginning of the holiday season. John Kane has some treats up his sleeve on this week's Eye on the Arts.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Eye on the Arts. I'm Tricia Hernandez. Joining us today is your usual host, John Kane, Executive Director of South Shore Arts. Welcome, John.
Thank you.
We're going to talk today about a special thing, a holiday thing, a tradition, 21 years of your annual holiday reading.
Yep, and last year it was we made a big honkin' deal about it being the 20th.
Being 20 years.
21 isn't so honkin' anymore, but it's just like, oh God, another one.
Still, you're packing them in still at 21 years. That's pretty impressive.
It's a holiday luncheon / reading. I do this reading every year. I started with Truman Capote's Christmas Memory in 1994, and I've read a number of authors over the years, and this year I was going to read John Grisham's Skipping Christmas, but I decided to skip Skipping Christmas.
I know, you changed that on me.
I know, at the last minute. At the last minute, I heard on WFMT Truman Capote himself reading from Breakfast at Tiffany's. It was recorded at the University of Chicago in 1958, right before the novella came out. And I thought, oh my God, it's just so wonderful. And he read from the first chapter, or first section of the book. And there is Christmas in it. It's not really about...
But you're inspired. You're always inspired by Truman Capote.
Yeah, I love Truman Capote.
And the date is November 18th.
Yes,
right?
It is. That's right, this year.
And we do have, it's at the Center for Visual and Performing Arts.
Correct.
And all you have to do really is call, and we'll take your reservation over the phone. And members get a little break on their price. And it's just a holiday tradition. We start with wine.
Wine in the gallery, and we'll have our new Frida Kahlo exhibit
Frida Kahlo
up.
will be there.
And we'll have a really nice lunch, followed by my delightful reading.
Excellent.
Yeah, when really good material. Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Well, thank you, John, and we
Thank you.
look forward to it definitely.
Thanks.
Thanks for joining us on this edition of Eye on the Arts.
Eye on the Arts is made possible in part by South Shore Arts, the Indiana Arts Commission,
and the National Endowment for the Arts, a federal agency.
There's a place right here in Northwest Indiana that is purportedly one of the most haunted spots in the country. I got to chase spooks and spirits of all kinds at the old Crown Point Sheriff's House and Jail on this week's Jump in the Lake. Mike McDowell is with Chaos Tours, and they tour a lot of the most haunted places in Northwest Indiana. Today we're at the old Sheriff's House and the Crown Point Jail.
There's this washboard sitting on the table. This old wooden washboard is leaning against a post. It's always there. It's just, did you guys find that in the jail? It's just an old washboard. So it's leaning against the post, came flying off the table and smashed into the wall. Nobody else was in there with them. The two of them screamed and came running out in the hallway. There's always something new in here, you know, and the stories can go on and on and on and on. You guys are going to find some amazing places in here where we've had activity, and we'll tell you about probably a few more stories as we're there, and more things come to mind as far as the ghostly activity in here.
This is the perimeter of the cells that they're now calling the Hollywood cells, because they were redone on the other side because of the filming of Public Enemy that starred Johnny Depp. But this is where the guards would have access to all the cells. So what we're doing is we're walking the perimeter, and this is going to go all around all the cells in this particular block. And it's supposed to be really haunted. So I'm just kind of checking things out from this angle. Mike, why is this particular place so haunted?
That's a good question. We don't know why, but we do get a lot of responses in here. I can tell you that this is an area where we do tend to get a lot of EVP, where they've seen shadows that walk around this area. This is also one of the oldest areas of the prison. So I guess if you think about the things that could have accumulated over the years that may have happened in this prison, it's possible that there's been a lot.
So would that be your explanation for ghosts or ghostly occurrences, that places have a history and the history is somehow still living?
You know what, I think the haunted places are here because there's spirits that are unable or unwilling to let go.
Here's some of those coins that they have for the ghost to play with.
And with criminals, with people that have committed crimes, I think some of them are afraid of what's waiting for them on the other side.
Yikes.
They're afraid that they might end up someplace they don't want to be.
Well, who rang the bell?
I did.
Okay, good. I knew it wasn't me.
I saw the bell there.
I almost did it to you, Mike. If you'd like to see more about our Haunted Jump in the Lake segment or any of the other segments on Lakeshore Report, all you need to do is go to our website, lakeshorepublicmedia.org. By the way, the reason we're dressed like this, our producer Justin said we had to dress up for Halloween. And the scariest thing we could think of was to be the ghost of Christmas future. Yes, Christmas is right around the corner. If you don't find that scary, I don't know what else will work for you.
It doesn't scare me. I love it. I embrace it. But, you know,
I'm scared
I'm ready.
to death right now. Viewers can also reach out to us several other ways. TV feedback, for one.
Definitely so. Always reach out to us there at tvfeedback@lakeshorepublicmedia.org with your questions, thoughts, concerns, or maybe some ideas like what you're going to do for the holidays. You can also reach us at Twitter at Lakeshore Report or on Facebook. But again, you know, I'm feeling this. I could do this. I might appear like this more than once in the upcoming weeks because
I am scared. We want to thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you next time on Lakeshore Report.